The roll call for seating members.
Maureen Steer. Ian Bosch.
John Coward.
Thomas McDougal.
Bob Carrier
Lou Snyder.
Stan Nato. Mike Blue.
and Larry Brown is here.
And I'm going to call the Board of Selectmen's meeting to order
Okay.
at the same time.
All right. We stand to salute for the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. This is the final presentations of the budgets. But we're going to start off with the financial director, Joanne Smith, who's going to enlighten us with the truck and grader. Joanne, can you probably speak, state your name and speak as loud as you can so everybody can hear you.
Joanne Smith, Finance Director for the Town of Milton. I believe that there's been some questions about subsequent lease payments for vehicles that were voted in at town meeting. My practice in the past has always been to get approval at town meeting. Yes, you have the approval. In subsequent years, it becomes part of debt service in the operating budget. It is a standard practice that has a standard Department of Revenue chart of accounts for principal and interest for debt service. There was some question. Liz got some information. She got information from DRA. She got New Hampshire Municipal Association, the auditors here in town. What I did, I also solicited some from another town, from another legal person with the same question, just so you could see the consistency. Lease agreements with escape clauses are not long-term debt. The lease agreements can be approved by town meeting as part of the operating budget, showing a line for the lease payment. And I'll stop there because what that's saying is you could have treated it just like you do the police vehicles where they're in the operating budget. You chose to put it on the warrant, and that's absolutely fine. It gives you a good vote that the people wanted these vehicles. In subsequent years, the lease payment would be included in the budget in the same manner. Just like that. And one thing that I would ask you to think about when you're doing this confusion at town meeting, you've got additional warrant articles. If they don't pass and these vehicles have to go back, the town of Milton is going to lose a substantial amount of money. They're going to lose the money that's already gone. They're going to lose the trade-in money of the vehicles. They're going to have no vehicles. You're going to have to subcontract all the work until you decide what you're going to do again. You're going to need a new warrant article. You're going to need more down payments. And you're still going to have a lease payment. You're going to still be in the same position that you're in. So I just would caution that you try to make this as simple as possible and just, let the town move on. But it is my opinion that it just goes in the operating budget. It's on a warrant article. It has its own, and I will just also share, I emailed back this person and I said, just to confirm, as long as there is a separate line in the operating budget for each lease, it does not need to be a separate warrant article, correct? The response, yes, as long as the lease has an escape clause. So I confirmed my question to be exactly, it does not need another warrant article.
So it goes
That
into
helps.
the operating budget?
Operating budget.
Do we have a copy of what you were just reading?
This is from another town and another lawyer that is not the town of Milton. I was just showing the consistency from what Liz had gotten, that it's not just the people that are working and representing Milton that have these opinions. It's someone that it's the same exact question from a different town, same response. I was just showing consistency for you.
All right, Stan?
Okay, so basically that's hearsay because you're not willing to put that gentleman's name or her.
If you think I'm lying.
Okay, I'm not saying you're, I'm saying it's hearsay. Secondly, I don't believe this board is looking to deprive the town of anything.
Mhm.
I think if anything, especially myself, we want to make sure things are done right and correctly and no lawsuits down the road.
Correct.
All right. One of the opinions that Mr. Dion got from Stephen Buckley from New Hampshire Municipal Association, saying somewhat what you said, but it also notes in there, I do note that DRA takes a position that in subsequent years, a separate article should be placed on a warrant article to raise the annual payment. MHMA disagrees with this position. The governing body, in this case, in my mind, tell me if I'm wrong, would be the DRA.
You have legal counsel. If something were to happen, the DRA is not going to defend you. Your legal counsel is going to defend you.
Correct. DRA is the one that's gonna come after us.
I've never seen that. I have one other that I can, you have seen the DRA response.
I have not.
That's hearsay.
I can show you the DRA response.
Okay,
that came from the town of
For all I have, and imagine that's what Bob sent to everyone.
I sent that to everybody.
Right. Is this opinion from this Stephen Buckley with her question?
But I'm gonna point out something. DRA will never put anything in writing, and you know that.
The point being is.
Well,
I'm
the
not
thing is,
asking-
we could ask them for a clarification, but they're not gonna say, we're not gonna sign
But-
for it.
DRA has null and voided warrant articles in the past to this town.
That I have no knowledge of.
Well, correct?
No.
Yes, we've had some warrant articles that we had to redo the following year because the language was improper and DRA put a squash to it.
No, they didn't put a squash to warrant article. If the warrant article you're talking to is a land article that went to the town attorney, town
No,
fee.
I disagree.
We had nothing with DRA.
Anyway, I disagree.
We're gonna
But-
put a time limit on this, okay, so whatever comes out
One
here.
more response, and it is up to the town.
Yeah.
It's not my decision. I just want to provide you with the information. The portion of the DRA response, it's not as cut and dry, but the way I would interpret it, I will share with you. I went to the head of DRA. You have a DRA representative that helps set your tax rate. I went ahead of her, and please see the response I received from Michelle Clark, meaning our municipal advisor. I agree with her interpretation. Leases with an escape or non-appropriation clause, which is what these were, which terminates the lease should the requisite amount appropriation not be made, are not to be treated as long-term debt. So the first legal says it's not long-term debt, so you don't need a warrant article. This is saying it doesn't necessarily have to have a warrant article. These agreements require annual approval by simple majority. It needs to be on a warrant article, part of the warrant. It's in a warrant article. The budget is a warrant article, and it has its own line item. The town could say, no, we don't want it. They have absolutely every right and every opportunity to do that.
And so this board could also do the same thing.
Absolutely.
And at the
Absolutely.
deliberative session, they can zero
Absolutely.
fund that line.
Mhm. Yes, you can.
Well, we don't, that's not what the outcome for this is.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, however they're going to put it on, whether they're gonna put it in debt service or they're gonna put it in the budget here, it's either we recommend or not recommend. You know, we can argue about this all night long, and this is not gonna go anywhere.
But the underlining first question is, should it be on this year's ballot?
It has to be put on the, not the
No,
ballot. No, in the budget, because it's already passed.
No, it has not. That warrant article was a two-question warrant article. A, should they enter into the agreement? And two, should they raise and appropriate the first year's money?
This, Larry,
Thank you. My recollection is that the Budget Committee does not set policy. That would be one point to consider. Our action will be limited to a recommend or not recommend the content of a given written article. Secondly, following the point earlier made, the lack of a written opinion from DRA would be hearsay on the same standard applied to other people.
Right.
Thirdly, as I was out of the room, would you, if convenient, briefly review your educational background, your years of experience, and the scope of services you provided to whatever number of towns that would be useful.
Certainly, I'm happy to share that with you. I have been working in municipalities for the last 30 years, and I worked in the town of Sandwich as the finance director for approximately 15 years. I then worked for a municipal company servicing municipalities throughout the state of New Hampshire doing just this, helping with operating budgets, reconciling, preparing for town meeting, preparing for the audits. And I do that all over the state of New Hampshire. I work with several auditors, I work with many legal counsel, I work with DRA, and I just have to honestly say, I've never come up with this. My word is not the last word, but just to give you that history, that it has not come up until this year. So, yeah, I've been, this is what I do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Does that, what alphabet, if I may, what alphabet soup do you get to put after your name for your
There is none. It's
There is none.
municipal consultant.
municipal?
Yes, yes.
Exactly. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you, Joanne.
Follow up. If I thank you for your feedback on the lease, and I'm wondering, in the 2 years we have left until the employee benefits tax becomes an issue, will you be able to provide that same critique to the town administrator?
Absolutely, we will do that. I have already started that in some other towns. How are we going to bypass this Cadillac tax? For me personally, it's a very difficult one because towns are now being penalized for offering their employees a really great benefit. And I'm not a fan of taking the benefits away, so my job is going to be, what can we do? What can we do to be legal, to, if we have to offer them a lesser plan or a higher deductible, what kind of savings plan can we offer? That will be a whole other topic. Yes, I'm happy to help with that.
Thank you.
One more question if I may. Oh, I'm sorry, what?
If I could, what would be considered debt? Could you give me a couple of examples of debt that would be considered under the RSA that they say this wouldn't fall under? 33-4-A. What would be an example of that type of debt?
Mostly debt services is lease and rental equipment. You know, you have an equipment. We've had, say you purchase land, say you purchase a fire truck, a lot of it depending on how it's written. A road bond. Some towns will get a road bond so that they can do a chunk of work, get it done, instead of starting it and then it deteriorates before you can get another approval. A road bond, they'll do that.
Okay.
Rescue trucks.
For what, would it be, would debt that would fall under that be, is it like a dollar amount? Is it a
Yeah.
length of time that it's incurred, a combination of both?
It is both, yes. And what's
Okay.
happening with this CIP now is people are trying to get away from the debt service. They're trying to get away from paying this interest and saving your own money. If you have your own money, you buy this stuff, this isn't even a question anymore.
Yeah.
Takes
Now,
time.
If I could get clarification on one thing that I think I heard you said, I might have misunderstood what you said. It's, you know, you say something to 4 different people, you get 5 different responses to what was said, right?
I agree.
I think I heard you say that the DRA would consider the fact that the equipment that's purchased under the lease, since it would be included in the budget, would be called out as a line item in the budget, that the DRA considers to be satisfy the warrant article aspect of that rule. Is that,
It's a
did I hear
warrant
you right?
article, it's a line item.
Okay.
There will always be interpretation. You can call 5 people at DRA and get 5 different answers.
Yeah.
So you have to try to find, that's why you bring in your legal counsel, you bring in your auditors. You have to answer to those auditors. Those are legal documents. If they write you up and say you didn't do this right, that's why you involve them ahead of time. You want everybody on the same page within reason.
Dan, last
Anyone
question.
else before I have anything else?
This will be the last question. Thank you. Go ahead,
Well, I
Dan.
have a 2-part. One, what would be the logic to have the escape clause if it goes right into the budget automatically at the town's choice?
The escape clause, it's not binding future town meetings is what that is. And-
Okay,
and
but if
then-
it's in the budget,
But it's not bound, you don't have to fund it. You don't have to fund a copier lease, you don't have to fund the postage machine. You have health insurance that you're under contracts with for a certain amount of time. You have every right on all of those to say, no, we don't want to do it.
okay, and second question, nothing to do with that. What is the limitations for the debt the town can hold?
Off the top of my head, I would not say that, but I could get that for you. There is a percentage.
3%.
No, it's higher than that.
From
I
that
got-
RSA that it refers to, I read it and it
I
said,
just got that
Okay.
last Thursday, and I forwarded it to the town planner. And he thought it was 2% for a municipality and 3% for a school district. Actually, it's higher on both scores.
Okay,
And
because I
I
read,
can forward that to you.
because I read the
Bob.
RSA and it said the school was like 7%
Yeah, it's higher than the 3%,
and 3% of the town's valuation.
right.
That's what I read on that RSA that it refers to in this RSA.
I'd
And
have to confirm.
I got that from NHMA last week. So Bob, if you want, I can forward that to you as the chair for your members.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Joanne. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to the budgets. We're gonna start with the Highway Department, Pat Smith. State your name, Pat, and speak loud enough.
Yep, okay. Pat Smith, Public Works Director. Good evening, everyone.
Yes.
We're just going to go over the
Yep.
lines that changed.
Lines
correct?
have changed, that's all we
Okay.
want.
The first line that changed was the full-time salary line. That actually went down this year by $2,777, and that's due to turnover. The next line is the part-time, salary part-time line. That is an increase of $1,448, and that is due to a 1.7% COLA and a 2% merit. Elected went up $2,681 due to a 1.7 COLA and a 2% merit. Increase in FICA because of the COLA and the merit. Increase in Medicare because of the COLA and the merit. Electric increase because of a 6% rate hike, $306. Operating supplies, an increase in salt prices from $48.54 to $58.81 per ton, and sand increase went from $4.50 a yard to $5.25 per ton, which is an increase of $11,960. Total public works increase, $13,423 over last year, an increase of 2.1%.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Sam?
Okay, I have some questions for myself, plus I have some questions from Eric Knapp that couldn't attend tonight. So I guess I'll go for myself, and I'm asking every department this. Last year, there was the raise and the COLA. Did everyone in your department get the raise and the COLA?
Yes, they did.
Okay. Eric Knapp had a couple questions. One, he'd like to know where the GoPro camera is, what line that was taken out of?
Okay, that wouldn't be public works, that would be transfer
Okay,
station.
Transfer station.
Yep.
I'll come back with that. He also had bid process for the sand and salt. He wants to know what the procedure is, how many people bidded on it, what the bids were.
Okay, the salt is a state bid, we ride on the state goes out and gets bids from companies, we, as municipalities, get to ride on that bid, so we get state bid. Whatever the state pays is what the town can benefit from. The sand, we got several quotes from 3 different people around. Ossipee Aggregate was the cheapest quote.
Okay, he didn't ask for this, but I'm assuming that if he was asked to see it, where it's public knowledge, you could provide.
Excuse
He didn't ask me to ask this question, but if he does ask to see that, there would be no problem
Sure, he
seeing.
can come to my office and request anything he'd like at any time.
That's the only thing he had.
Larry, did you have something?
Yeah. There's 2x4s. There is a moisture gauge for 2x4s. You can get your standard 19% construction, and then you can also get a super kiln-dried reading of between 12 and 14%, which will give you a higher price for the structural 2x4 you're buying. On the $5.25 per ton, is there any way to gauge moisture content of that
Oh, yeah.
ton?
It's wet, I mean, I don't know how to gauge the moisture, but
I can partially answer that. Whereas one time I was involved in delivering salt to the state out of Portsmouth. They will not take a delivery of salt when it's raining, A. B, they do take sample to the lab and get the moisture content. So they will not accept it if it's over and above a certain moisture content per our state specs.
Salt.
So,
Can I add to that, Larry? When the trucks come in, they're covered, no matter if it's raining or it's sunny.
Good. I like the weight of dry sand.
Anybody else on the board? In the audience?
One more, anyone else? One more question. I'd like to have you explain us how the 4-day work week works and how it's working when there's a holiday involved in it.
Stan, I believe that would be department policy, and I'm not here to talk department policy.
I
I'm here to
disagree,
talk-
because I have a thought in my mind, I want you to prove me wrong, that from what I can see, it looks like when there's a holiday, personnel get paid for a 10-hour day, not an 8-hour day. So I need to have that, where there's money involved there.
That doesn't change our budget whatsoever. There's no change in the budget over a holiday or a work week. It's a 40-hour work week, they get 40 hours.
We
So-
cannot, we cannot talk policy. That's their policy. All we do is monetary. We don't.
It is monetary.
Yes, but the policy's been set. We
Set
can't
to-
make any changes to this policy.
We're not saying we're making changes, I want to know how it's shaking out. I'm not saying I'm going to make a change to it, don't have that authority.
In the wintertime, when people work in the wintertime, if they work on a holiday, they get the holiday pay for 8 hours, and they get their overtime for the time that they work. In the summertime, if they're off, they get a 40-hour work week, whether there's a holiday in it or whether there's not a holiday in it. If the holiday comes on the Monday, they get a 10-hour holiday pay. It does not change the amount of money that the people pay the employees one way or another. It's the same pay, 40 hours a week. There is no overtime in the summer.
That's all I want to know.
Anybody else on the board? Anybody else in the audience? Okay, well, now we'll go to government buildings.
Yes. I think I got all this one, I just didn't have that one.
Sorry about that.
Okay, government buildings, full-time salary line, 1.7% COLA, 2% merit, increase of $2,574. Part-time salary line, 1.7% COLA, 2% merit, increase of $173. FICA's increase is $170 due to the merit and the COLA. Medicare $40 due to the merit and the COLA. Contract service increase of $1,483, and that is due to an increase for the elevator at the Milton Free Public Library. JP Pest Services went up a touch, and so did our boiler maintenance to maintain our heating systems for the winter, clean them and to maintain. Electric, a 6% rate hike with an increase of $516. Water, $750 represents a 15% rate hike from the water district. Government buildings total budget for 2016 increase of $5,706, an increase of 3.2%.
Any questions from the board?
Just the same questions about the COLA and.
Yes.
All set? Anybody else in the audience? Okay, move on to solid waste.
Okay, full-time salary line, again, the 1.7% COLA, 2% merit, an increase of $1,055. Part-time line, 1.7% COLA, 2% merit, an increase of $1,355. FICA increase, $178. Medicare, $39. Contract services, an increase of $210. Represents a contract with Barron Brothers for leaf and yard waste disposal. a 6% rate hike for electricity of $72. The telephone, increase of $85, and that's due to the usage of the square, which is the use of a town credit, taking of the credit cards. You have to pay for more data. Solid waste total overall increase $3,385, an increase of 1.75%.
Any questions from the board? Okay.
Yeah, I'll go back to Eric's question about the GoPro.
Yes, the GoPro cameras were not taken out of the budget. They were taken out of the revenues from the revolving account.
And again, the 100%, the COLA and the raise.
Yes, they got,
Yep.
yes.
Any questions from the audience? Yes.
An observation from civil service budgeting back in another world and time in New York State. Rather than a merit raise, they used the phrase performance assessment review, which I think is what the town is actually questioning, which I think is the town actually trying to say what the purpose of the merit raise, given salaries at the town level and surrounding towns. It is a performance appraisal review, and if satisfactory.
Yes.
Yes, that's true.
Now, I can tell you that, Larry, in the past, I've not always given a 2% merit if that was in the budget, or a 3% merit if that's what was budgeted. There have been several times that I felt that there have been employees that haven't met or even exceeded the requirements of the job, where I put them in for a lesser raise or not a raise at all. And I have sent that in to the Board of Selectmen and to the town administrator. And they have even come back and questioned me on why that I turned it in the way I did, and I responded why. Now, when I do a review, I look at the review. An employee needs to meet or exceed in every area to go towards the 2% raise. A lot of guys that I have will meet or exceed in a lot of different areas. There are some guys that don't. If they go below that average line, they're not going to get a full 2%, or maybe not even a raise at all, depending on how many different areas they go below that line.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Larry, Tom.
We've had the scale now for about a year and a half, something like that. How does the maintenance of the scale work? I don't see anything in your solid waste equipment maintenance of any amount.
Because the scale is funded completely out of the revenues from the transfer station.
Okay.
We have a contract with the company that installed the scales. They come in on an annual basis. They maintain the scales, and we have the scales certified when they come in. And that's all taken care of.
I'm just concerned I didn't see any money
Nope.
that would be allocated for that here, so.
You have $187,000 total
Yep.
budget.
Yes.
We use at least $100,000 out of the revolving account to finish paying for the operation of the transfer station. The purpose of the revolving account, the scales and the fees, was to reduce the amount of money that we raise in taxes and have user fees so that the people who are using it are paying for it and not the people who are not using it.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Audience? Okay. We're gonna go to the town administrator's budget. There's been some reduction by the selectmen in here, and they have not approved this budget yet, but we're going to go through it anyway. Liz?
Okay. I hadn't prepared a PowerPoint presentation for you yet because it hasn't been approved at the selectmen's level yet, but I can certainly go down through the lines and try to recall the explanations. So line 110 salary has increased. There are 2 full-time positions in that line, and the increase is due to a contractual increase for me, and then a 1.7 COLA and a 2% merit for the full-time bookkeeper. Line 120, salary part-time, there's a slight increase in that, and that represents a 1.7 COLA and a 2% merit for the part-time administrative assistant. Line 220 FICA increased slightly due to those increases. Same thing with line 225 Medicare. Let's see, training, line 240 training. That decreased slightly. I took 2 conferences that I normally go to out of that. Legal services, I had increased it from 32,000 to 40,000. The selectmen reduced it to 37,000. So the reason for the increase is our legal services line is probably lower than it should be. We did overexpend in 2014, and our attorney recommended that the line be increased. Contract services decreased. If you look in your backup, you'll see the different contracts that we have. And going down the list, Vashon Klupe, the auditors, there is a slight increase with that contract. There's an addition of $3,000 in there for Harris software for the cemetery trustees. But the biggest thing, which actually afforded the decrease in the line, was we switched payroll companies earlier in the year, in January, which resulted in a huge savings. We went from ADP to MuniSmart. So overall, that contract line has decreased by about 10,000, 9,000 roughly. Line 395, professional services. Let's see. That had increased a little bit due to some of the things that are listed in the middle of that list that have to do with the website and the internet service. But the reason that the line decreased overall was that there are 2 audits listed in there. And the selectmen deducted one of the audits, which resulted in a $2,500 decrease on that line. Line 415, street lighting, increased due to a 6% increase that's going to occur in 2016. Line 430, the water bill, that's 0, I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that. Line 620, supplies, that increased very slightly due to the addition of the AED pads, the defibrillators in the town hall. You have to replace the batteries and the pad part of the unit every 2 years. This is the 2nd year that we've had it. They're going to need to be changed. And that's $160, a $160 increase in that line. Line 625, the postage line, increased $20 due to an unanticipated postage rate increase in 2015. Let's see, line 741, equipment purchase, that increased by $1,000 even due to a recommendation from our IT company that we should budget $1,000 per year to replace one hard drive per year to avoid having to do several all at once, which is what happened last year. We had to replace, I think, 6 maybe, I don't recall how many, 5, 6, 7, somewhere in there, at quite a cost. Let's see, line 840, mileage, that decreased by $250 because we now have the town hall vehicle, so I cut that down. Line 850 is the reason why the selectmen have not approved this budget yet. I'm waiting for the annual dues amount from the New Hampshire Municipal Association. That's gonna be between $3,500 and $4,000. Let's see. Line 860, employee functions, I just decided to lower that by $100 down to $200, as it wasn't being used. And that's it.
Okay, so your budget's at, right now at $275,797.
No, it's,
no.
the bottom line is $270,000
$297.
and $297.
There was some reductions the selectmen made.
Okay, but can I ask a question? The membership and dues, is there a monetary number in that amount for that?
I'm waiting for that.
So that's zero right now in this budget?
Right.
So that's gonna be another $4,000 or so, $3,500 to $4,000 to be, will be needed to be added to the budget.
Just for the New Hampshire Municipal Association, in that line item, there are a couple of other things that would be in that line as well.
All right, so we gotta figure maybe more than $4,000. I'm trying to
Well,
get a
I'm
handle on what kind of money we're talking.
roughly four, right, I mean, that's just a guess. I don't know what the dues are gonna be, but the other things that are listed in the backup are as presented.
All right. My apologies, it wasn't added up. Any questions from the board?
If anyone else doesn't have, wait.
I don't see anybody else.
Okay, a couple questions. On the hard drives, you said we replaced 6, you thought?
Yeah, it was 5 or 6 or 7, something like that.
How many do we have total?
No, we have, oh my gosh, we did this at
Honestly,
this.
about 13.
13.
I
Yeah,
think it's
13, yeah, you're
more
right.
than that, actually.
So the reason why I asked is someone says, well, we already replaced them, we don't need to replace them right away. But we have others over and above that were replaced. Okay? On the electric, on the deal that was made with the solar panels on the
Yeah.
DPW,
Yep.
was there any clause in there the rate would stay the same?
That is part of the contract, is you pay your normal electric bill, and at the end of the year, you receive a rebate check. And plus, there are 2 other forms of revenue streams associated with that New Hampshire Solar Garden.
Right.
One is the pilot agreement for taxation purposes, and the other one is the
Lease.
lease.
Lease of the property.
Lease of the land.
So shouldn't at least the lease of the property kind of like wash off some of the electric bill? Or are you gonna put it as strict revenue into the general fund?
It must go into the
Yeah, it has
general
to.
fund
It has to
by
go in
law.
general fund.
Yeah.
I kind of wish on the budgets there was some kind of a line we had that would say offsetting to show that there is something coming back. Not that many places that would have that,
You would see that in your revenue report.
right? But I'm saying, when we're going through this now,
Mm-hmm.
not knowing what it would be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Would it be on the revenue report now if I was to ask for it?
No, because we haven't done it
We
yet.
haven't got it yet.
Oh, yeah, we got it. But will it be there when they
All
finally get it?
revenues will show on the revenue report for all the different departments.
All right, any other questions?
I got a question. Stan, you can probably answer this, I'm sure.
No, maybe not.
The water bill I see is going up 15%.
Correct.
The question I have is, does that mean the public pays extra taxes for the water that have water? No, if they pay the town for what we use, and then on top of that, they have to pay 15% on what they personally use?
If I understand your question, you're asking the people in the water district itself,
Yeah.
you're asking,
Only people use
they're
it.
paying for their water, as myself, I'll be
Yeah.
paying additional,
Right,
you're
right.
correct on that. And will they be, by way of taxation, be paying more for what the town? Yeah, no different than the salt, sand, anything else that goes up.
It's kind of like a big hit for the taxpayers, that's for sure.
We took, speaking as the rep for the water district, we lost over $12,000 on one piece of property.
Yeah,
that the
that's
town
not the
put-
question I had.
Well, this is the reasoning for the raising,
Yeah, right,
rate increase,
right.
all right, because we've had, we can't support the budget.
No, I
because,
understand that,
you know-
Stan. I'm just saying, I'm speaking for the taxpayers, that, it's a big hit for them,
Yes, it is.
out of everything I've seen. Well, thank you.
Larry?
That, as I remember, in fact, I wish Pat had spoken to it, One of the things that he has done is have a software program that tracks the maintenance record and repairs for the vehicles so that we know what value we're getting out of them. And my assumption is that there is a matrix, or my favorite 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, for the computers, their location, their application, and the last date of purchase.
There, yes, somewhere. I don't know if the IT person has it or cabinet, but there is something like that.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody in the audience? Okay, thank you, Liz.
You're welcome.
Now, the last one here is the budget committee budget. Professional services, recording clerk fee will be $65 per meeting, and we're scheduled for 21 meetings at a total of $1,365. 3 public hearing notices that we place in the newspaper at $175 apiece. Total $525. The total budget is $1,890. Is there any questions from the board? Any questions from the audience? Okay. This concludes the presentation for the evening.
Mr. Chairman, could I take one thing out of order here? We have an adjustment in the police budget I'd like to bring forth, so we, as a board, can vote to recommend or not recommend it. And I know it's not on the agenda tonight, but we have a reduction on the police budget of $17,570.30. That is due to us not receiving the grant for the school resource officer.
Yeah.
And so there's a wage decrease, Medicaid decrease, and an increase in the cruiser lease line that's going back into the police department budget.
Okay.
So it's a reduction of $17,570 with a new total of $904,776.59. So if I could ask for my guys, someone to give me a motion to either recommend or not recommend that number.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, is that it, Tom?
Yep, that's it.
I
Thank
just
you.
have one question, Bob, for
Yes.
you, on the budget committee. I mean, unfortunately, you didn't get a recording clerk. Would it be, I mean, to your favor, maybe to up the amount, you know, for the $65, to entice maybe someone to, you know, take that position?
I hear what you're saying, but mostly, sometimes it's the scheduling. Can be very erratic. Now, the way I got it scheduled now, I may not use 2 of them, but it's not only that. When they hear the word budget committee, everybody seems to be afraid of it. They figure numbers are coming in, and they're a little leery about taking it. I thought I had a prospect, but she would have done it for free, but my schedule just don't fit hers. So, and I don't know what next year's gonna bring. It's kind of late to bring anybody in at this point, so. Next year, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what the makeup of the board's gonna be. I was considering maybe reducing it, because some of the months we only meet for maybe an hour, when we're not in the budget session, but that'll have to be up to the next board to decide on that. But you can raise the price, but I think my schedule is not consistent. I've been moving it around because to fit everything. It's not easy, and again, when you hear the word budget committee, all
I
about
just know it's a
numbers.
lot of work for you, for the chairman to have to, you know, take that duty, and, you know, I'm just trying to help you out.
Oh, I appreciate it, but it's my responsibility to take care of it. I have to get it out and do the best I can, and there'll be mistakes, and I'm gonna continue to make them. So, okay, I guess at the end of our presentation, we're gonna go into our regular minute meeting.
Larry and you.
Oh, I can't even see you. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry. There has been a group of people meeting at the invitation of PTA Milton Matters. And the feedback and discussion in that has been a particular appreciation of the courtesy and community policing that the department has been able to provide. Has there been any discussion, or can there be, between the chief and the selectmen, for the costs of that school resource officer within the town budget?
It'd be tough, yeah, this year. Unfortunately. I mean, I think it's a worthy cause, it's a great cause, but
Mr. Brown, it would be an $87,000 increase to my budget with payroll and benefits.
10-4, no.
Part of that fund, part of that would obviously be offset because the school would have to pay back 70% of that if we entered into an agreement with the school. But it's still, we have to raise and appropriate that money out of my budget first, and then the school pays it back, and then it all goes back into the general fund in the end.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. All right, I'm gonna bring this up at this time. The budgets that we can do, we're going to meet November 10th. We're not gonna meet the 3rd, because that will be downstairs, and I want this to be up here. Want the committee to look at the budgets that we can work on, that's been approved by the selectmen. When we come back to the 10th, we're gonna review all these budgets. We're either gonna increase them, reduce them, or leave them the same. So I'd like to have this committee ready when we start. This will start at 6 o'clock right here. Okay, this is the best we're gonna do. We're gonna start working on it. There's some we're not gonna be able to do. The insurance and benefits is one. The town administrator will have to wait to get the final number on that one. Yes, Liz?
And also, I finished up the debt service budget today, and it's going to the selectmen next week on Monday evening, and after that, once they approve it, I'll forward it to you for your board.
Okay. Dan?
Default. Last year was somewhat of an agreement that we'd all work together on that this year. When was that gonna happen?
I'm working on the default budget right now, and I'm about 95% done.
Okay, so will that be ready for the 10th?
I think it will be.
Other than the same things we're waiting for the regular budget?
Yes, other than those things, unless those things are in, yep.
If they're not, we have our regular scheduled meeting the 17th of November. We can have it as a part of a workshop as well. If we don't complete our job with the budget, we can add it to our agenda.
Yeah, I've got to give the default budget to the selectmen first. They have to approve it, and then you'll get a courtesy copy.
All right. Okay. Ann?
When do your new insurance rates go into effect?
Health insurance is on the fiscal year, July 1st.
July 1st.
Yep. Dental, I believe dental was on the calendar year. It's with a different vendor. Dental,
The health
life,
is a big one.
and then Primex is the third vendor for unemployment insurance, and that's by the calendar year. Unemployment insurance, workers' comp insurance, property liability insurance. They're starting to come in a little bit, but they're not on them yet.
Okay.
Just for practical purposes, I'm gonna put on the insurance and benefits, I'm gonna put this year's numbers in there, so we'll have some idea where we are in the budget, and as anything else, it can change from every meeting we have. Somebody can review it, may wanna make changes. Again, all the way up to the deliberative session, but we do need a number for the public hearing. We definitely have to have some number from there,
Yeah.
so we have time, so.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I have to.
yes, go ahead.
Thank you.
You have another commitment. Okay. The approval of minutes. Larry,
Please, no, fine.
I can't see him from over here. Larry,
No, it'll fit down the road. Thank you.
all right. What I'm looking for is a approval of minutes, but I'm looking to have a motion to reconsider the October 13th, 2015 minutes. What I'm looking for is, Larry, I believe you motioned it the last time. I'm bringing it up.
Oh, we tabled, yes?
No, we didn't table it. We voted on it. I'm asking for a reconsideration, a vote to reconsider.
What grounds for?
As soon as if we can get a second, we can discuss it.
I'll second it.
Okay? Larry, did you make the motion?
To reconsider?
I'll make the motion just for the discussion.
Okay, I'll second it.
Okay. The only reason I did that, because when we put the approval of the minutes, there were 4 people that did not, well, 2 were not here, 2 of them did not read it. The minutes went out late, and what my reasoning is there something that needs to be changed? If not, then it's clear. But if there's something that you people were not here, is there something that you need to have changed in here? That was my only reason to do it. I should have tabled it, but I did not.
I'm gonna withdraw my motion because I don't think that's a valid request. And the reason being is, if people did not read it, that's why they abstained, okay?
I just put it up for reconsideration.
Well, I'm withdrawing
And
my
you-
motion because the people that voted it in approved the minutes with the changes, and that's how I feel it should stay.
Then you have to withdraw your second.
did.
No,
No.
your second.
I'll withdraw now.
Okay, so the minutes will go as corrected. Okay, now the approval of minutes of October the 20th. Has everybody had a chance to read them?
Yes.
Okay, is there any changes, any omissions, any?
Start down that,
All
and
right.
right this way.
Okay,
I just think that on page 11, when we do the approval of minutes, it says the motion passed 504. It should be, I think, 5, I know I abstained, I don't know if anybody else abstained, but it should be either 601 or 502 because there were only,
well, there
Well,
was
Lou wasn't here.
Yeah,
Lou was
right,
not here, there was
so-
2 people
but it
absent.
shouldn't say 504
Okay,
because she wasn't here to abstain. She's not
Correct.
included in
The number's gonna come out right.
Right.
okay.
Plus, there's only 9 of us that can't. Right?
I think, yeah, there is, only 9. What page are we on?
It's a very page of the minutes.
So that should say 503.
No, for some reason I don't have
Did
it.
anyone else abstain?
I didn't think so.
I think it should be 601.
John did not get a chance to read the minutes because his computer is gone.
So that would be your second expression?
That would probably be the second one. Okay,
And it
page
should be 502.
3. Okay, what was that number again? 5, I mean, not 5.
502.
Okay. Okay, anybody else? Dan?
On the last page, members' comments, when I was talking about the agreement with Larry, where it says, next to the last sentence, it says, we're using tax money for 37 streets. I counted 47 streets in the agreement.
Okay. I'll have to tell you that I cannot get this video. It just freezes up on my computer, so
That's why we're going through this now.
I may have problems with this as well. Okay.
Other than that, only thing I saw was some, simple things that don't need to be addressed.
Okay. Anybody else?
Typo, I think. RSA 33-4, that's the last page. I think that should be debt, not department.
Can you see that?
Next page. Oh,
Give me,
it's
What line?
just below, right there. Right there.
is debt under RSA?
Should be, yeah, it's department, I think it should be debt, D-E-B-T.
Yep, you're correct. It's misspelled. Okay, anybody else?
Down here.
Larry?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have 2 things. One, if you read Foster's still in print, you will have seen, about 3 or 4 days ago, a house fire in Somersworth, in which the husband and a friend escaped, and the wife was burned to death on the 2nd floor. And there were mutual aid fire departments on the scene and covering fire stations in the surrounding communities. That's one. Secondly,
Hold on, Larry, that has nothing to do with the minutes.
I believe it does. No, this, you asked for any other comments from members?
No.
No,
This is for the minutes.
And that,
I'm just checking the minutes.
hold that thought in your heart, mind.
Okay, so I need a motion to accept these minutes.
So made with the corrections and clerical revisions noted.
Okay,
Second.
okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay,
I'm abstained because I was not here.
okay. Mike, you're abstaining as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, members' comments. Okay, Larry.
Done for that. I have another. Are we starting from my end? We're starting from my end. As you know, I'm 8.5 by 11 collect paper. There's a few notes from several years back. Bear with me. Oliver Hill, who died August 5th, 2007 in Richmond, Virginia, age 100, the last of the civil rights giants who made Brown versus the Board of Education possible. L. Douglas Wilder was the first African-American governor of Virginia, and he's talking about knowing the man. And says, I remember one time after I had written something, this is Wilder speaking, a letter that was very critical of something in our community. Mr. Hill wrote me back saying my words tended to trigger defensive mechanisms in people. He knew that was not my intent and wrote back saying I would work on changing that if I were you. L. Douglas Wilder, governor of Virginia, speaking in 2007 on the death of one of the civil rights giants.
Anybody else?
A couple things. One is, I all passed out that thing that I read about this, she's not one, he talked about the Cadillac tax.
Yep.
Just so everybody can see what that's about, see if it is gonna affect us. I have no idea. I guess that's gonna be something that we'll find out at a later date. And two, I would like to talk to the fire chief in reference to the Lebanon mutual aid agreement. And what I read online and Facebook was that we were gonna cover 47 streets, and there was no mention of anything that they were gonna cover for us or any monetary value or anything. Is that correct?
They are covering the entire town of Milton when we need them. And it's listed it's actually listed in the agreement on what they will be covering. And I did watch the video. I understand there's a few people on Facebook and a couple people, or you mainly, that had an issue with it. As far as the 47 streets, most of them, like Mr. Gray said, are driveways. Basically, the area encompasses the backside of Spalding Pond, Champion Street, TM Wentworth Road, and all the side camp roads off of that, down Newbridge, and then the backside of Sewell Shores Road, and there's a few streets off of that. So it's the immediate area around the lakes that those 47 streets actually cover. Secondly, I pulled the previous mutual aid agreement that we had with the town of Lebanon between the fire department and Milton Fire Department, and that was 54 streets. So that included a lot more incidents than we're currently going to now, back then. Just a few points. We have the same agreement with the town of Farmington. The town of Farmington covers West Milton for serious calls. There's no issue with the town of Farmington covering that. I don't understand why there's an issue with the town of Milton covering West Lebanon.
Is that a question you want me to answer right now?
Yes.
Okay. Myself speaking, there's tax money that supports part of the ambulance. It's not 100% self-supportive, correct?
The ambulance itself is 100% self-supported. There's some staff that's covered out of the
Okay,
town.
so it's not 100% self-supportive then?
Correct.
I don't feel, without showing that where we're gonna get a mutual, that's more of a service agreement that I read, that our tax money should be paying to support another town in another state. I tried to find out how many streets there were in Lebanon. I just got roundabouts numbers at just under 200, I was told. So that's about 24%, 25% of all the streets in Lebanon. Again, I have no idea how many houses are on each street, but I think we, as myself, I want to see the tax money being used, because you're going to say that you can be able to get billed for the transport.
Correct,
We go and they refuse transport, we don't bill for nothing.
correct.
So the tax money supported that call.
No, the revolving account supported that call.
Well, let me rephrase that. Some tax money supported it, because we know it's not self-supporting.
Okay,
So there is tax money involved. That's my issue.
okay. There's tax money involved when Farmington goes to West Milton.
But Farmington and us, we're probably gonna do the same. There's not another state involved too.
I'm not sure how state line makes a
Oh.
difference. I'm trying to
I can't
understand.
speak on it because it would be hearsay, because what people have told me that are in the industry saying that they don't feel that the Lebanon department is credited as, like your department is, and can come here and do things that.
So you're gonna take hearsay from one individual?
I don't, that's why I say I'm not gonna
industry
speak on it.
And dismiss an agency across the river?
I'm not, what was my first statement, Nick? I said, I don't really
You
want
just
to speak.
did, Stan.
Well,
Okay.
The other thing I can say is that we have an automatic agreement with the town of Lebanon for any fires in the town of Milton. Just like we go automatically over that immediate area across the bridge. If we have a fire in the town of Milton, or a call of a serious nature that involves anything like threatening with fire, they're coming over here, automatically. I don't have to request it, they come automatically. The town of Lebanon is closer to the village of Milton Mills than the Milton Fire Station is. So the town of Lebanon, the town of Acton, and the town of Wakefield can get to the village of Milton Mills quicker than the town of Milton can get up there.
Oh, so let's see what they're gonna cover here then, in that agreement. What I read was all just what we're gonna cover for them. There was nothing mentioned of what they're gonna cover for us.
Okay, this is just going nowhere here. Okay, you spoke your piece on that. That's his job to take care of all of that. Okay, they have some type of an agreement. We don't see it, we don't know it, but yes, Mike.
So, Bob, I disagree with Stan. He's working off of Facebook, he's working off a contract.
Okay,
If he wants the facts, he can go right down and talk with the chief and go over the contract.
For the record, there's been several people that have discussed this issue on Facebook. Not one of them has come to me in person in my office. And secondly, I did talk to the former fire chief. We've been going automatic to that area of Lebanon since he's been on the fire department, which was 40 years. The only reason this is an issue is because the media made it an issue.
you know, Nick, you know what you're doing, you know what your job, I don't have a problem with it. Okay, if that's in your department, you know who's coming and going. There's a shared agreement, I'm sure.
Yep.
Okay, there's no counting of how many times you're gonna come over. It depends on what the emergency is. Anybody else? Anybody else with public comment? How about public comments? Okay, none. And if there's no any new business to come before the board, is there anything coming aboard? No? Then we'll have a motion for the adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, motion to adjourn. Second. Aye.
Oh, is there a vote? Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.